Hello, this is Mr. S, and let's talk about how do you make equations. Fun, fun, fun. Math rocks. All right. So, what we saw is this pattern. So this is the first thing we see is this, right? We see a pattern, right? In this case, it goes by twos. And we're going to say, how do we expand this pattern going faster? And well, math is all about patterns, right? So we see patterns here. In this case, we see that it's going by twos. And when we look over here, we see how do we add more and more twos is we multiply by 2. Okay, so if you want to say 2 times 1 is, this is equal to 2 plus 5, right? 2 times 2 is 5, so that's 2 plus 2 plus 5, and so that is also equal to 9. And so if you look at this 11, this is 3 2's, so that's 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 5, and so that is 11. And so what we see is, and again, if we do the next one, we do 4 2's, and again, we did this in class as well. All right, so there's 4 2's. And so that's why it's 4 times 2. And so what we can see is it's increasing by more and more 2's. But mathematicians are lazy. So we don't do it this way. Okay, we do not do it this way where we're adding more and more 2's. What do is we use what this person uses, multiplication. That's how we add more and more 2's. Now, so we multiply by 2. Okay, so this is that multiply by 2. And then we add 5. You can see that doesn't change. Okay, we always multiply by 2 and add 5. All right, so adding 5 and multiplying by 2. And why we multiply by 2 instead of adding 2 is because we're getting more and more 2's. And we can see that from this picture. We're getting more and more 2's. That's why we multiply by 2, whereas we just keep 1 5. And so since we just keep 1 5 always, that's why we just add it once, because we don't change the number of 5's. It's always just once. Okay, so what is our equation in this case? Is we're going to multiply by 2. All right, so again, multiply by 2, add 5. Now, what are we going to multiply to? Well, this is the next question is, let me pick a different color. If you go back to this, we look, well, what are we multiplying by 2? And let me get a different eraser here. Okay. So there we go. So we look at this multiplication of 2 of where are we getting these values to multiply by 2. And what we see is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all these 35 come from our x values. Okay. And where our answers come from, so the 7, 9, 13, where do our answers go? Go into this y column. You can see those match. And because those x values change, they vary, and those y values change and vary, we use a variable to do that. So our equation in this case is 2 times x plus 5, and in this case it equals y. Now most times we say it as y equals 2x plus 5. Alright, and so that's why we come into that equation. We multiply by the slope because we're getting more and more 2's. Okay, we multiply by the slope and we add or subtract, if it's negative, the y-intercept. So you have some practice problems on the sheet. So let's, the first one's probably worked over for you. But let's look at the second one, or some other of those videos. Of those examples. So we take on this and we scroll down. Let's look at this one, the one on the right. So in this case, what's our slope? We can see we're adding more and more negative 6's, right? We subtract 6, subtract 6, we subtract 6. So our slope is negative 6. And again, if you want to write this, right, the fourth one is negative 6 times 4 plus 8, which in this case equals negative 16. And if you look at the 32nd case, right, that's negative 6 times 32, because we have 32 negative 6 plus 8. And again, if you do that in your head, it's 180 plus 12, 192 plus a negative 192 plus 8 is negative 186, I believe. Or actually 84, 184. Okay, and so in this case it's negative 184. And so that's how you fill in the table, but the slope is 6, the y-intercept is positive 8, and so what is our equation is y equals negative 6 times x plus 8. That's the plus. Okay, so there's one other example of how do you create that equation. So there's still some more problems on the back. If you want to practice those, do so. Okay, so I hope this helps. If you have any other questions, please see me, and I'll be more than happy to stay after school after you've watched this video. Thank you.